To remove this door, I like to start from the top. Grab your plastic panel tool. This one is only one clip holding the plastic. Then we have a pin. Push it down. You gotta make sure there's no screws in the bottom. There's one right here that's actually holding it. Grab a pry tool. In this car, it's really hard to get your plastic panel tool to pop it. I like to grab my pick tool. Just be careful. There we go. Disconnect the switches. Another screw behind that. Second screw behind the switches. Then from there, plastic pry tool. I like to start from the bottom. Sometimes the clips stay in the door. You just take it out so you don't lose them and put it back in the door panel.
Fernando has the door off, which gives us the ability to take a look at the factory speaker. This is going to be getting some sound treatment. When you tap the door, has a really hollow sound to it. We want to make this as rigid of a platform as we can for our aftermarket speaker. We're going to be doing this part of the door, the outside of the door, and then the door panel itself. But before we get to any of that, let's take a look at this and compare it to the new speakers we're putting in. For the doors, we're going to be doing the Morel Virtus 602s. This is a two-way set, meaning it has a mid-bass and a tweeter. Inside the box, you'll find the instructions. They also give you a nice Morel sticker. This, they give you to see if these in fact are Morels. If you get a set of Morels and they don't have the check to see little piece of tinted film here, you may not have gotten Morels. On the back page, they give you all the specifications for the driver. If you're going to be doing active system and you need to figure out what your crossover points, they're all located here. They break them down into each individual mid-bass as well as the mid-range and the tweeter. In the Virtus set, it comes with the MT120 tweeter. That is a cloth dome. It comes with some basic mounting hardware. The mid-range comes with a solid metal grill if you're going to be using it for that type of install, and then the mid-bass driver themselves. One of the unique features about this particular 6.5 is the voice coil. That's the blue thing you see right there. It has a 2.1 inch voice coil, basically the size of this dust cap. This is a composite cellular fiber cone. Feels really smooth even though it kind of looks rigid. A rubber surround neo magnet inside of the voice coil. It's not on the outside of the voice coil. That's why you have this very small mounting plate here. This is a steel basket that everything is loaded into. On the mid-range itself, it has a 100 watts of power handling with a 300 watt max. The tweeter has a 80 watt power handling with a 250 watt max. They're both 4 ohm drivers. If you lift up the cardboard insert, in the bottom you'll find the rest of your tweeter mounts, speaker brackets, screws, all the different things that you need for those tweeters, and the very familiar, very unique looking Morel passive crossovers. Morel makes some of the prettiest passive crossovers. It's almost a shame when you don't get to see them. This is a standard 2-channel in passive crossover. The input is located here in the center. On the outside you have your tweeter and then your mid. This eyeball here is removable. Inside of it, tweeter attenuation of 0 ± 2. The speakers these are going to be replacing is this guy right here. This is a 7-inch. Uses a small neo magnet on the back. It's a full composite mount, the whole thing. This is not removable. It's all one solid piece. Foam surround, paper cone. It's not a terrible speaker. It's okay. You know, he wants better naturally. That's why we do these things. If you'll notice on here, the one unique thing is this is foam. We get asked quite often, hey, are fast rings necessary? The answer to that is, of course, yes. As you can see, this is the factory fast ring. It's an open cell foam that is designed to help this meet up with the factory door panel and produce as much sound that it can. When you don't do that, it allows all the air to escape off to the left and right. When you put a grill in front of a speaker, it is applying resistance to the cone of the speaker, which is forcing the air out. When you add in these foam rings, it helps to push as much sound through that grill as possible. To integrate our speakers into the door, we are going to be using the Metra 82-8150 plate. It already has a 6.5-inch hole in it. To make it fit, you'll see these little tabs here, they are going to break off. When you compare the two as far as depth goes, you can see this is a little shallower, which is what you want because your speaker is going to sit on top of here, whereas this is nice and flush into this mount, so you need some room for that speaker to move. Keeping in mind now, when you stack them, you can see there's going to be about a 1/2-inch gap that fast ring is going to fill, and without it, that air is just going to escape around it. The most important part of the fast ring is that front piece. I'm going to get these over to Fernando so he can start putting them into the car. One other thing we are going to do is put foam around the back side and the front side where you mount the speaker. That way it doesn't rattle on the car. Looking at the factory, they do the same thing. Here's a piece of foam right here. For those of you that are going fast rings, what are you talking about, a fast ring? This is the fast ring. It's a part number RKFR6. Inside you'll find this piece of foam that is broken into 3 pieces. This is the back plug here that's designed to stick into the back of the door. This is the middle plug. This is designed to mount into this area. It goes like this. It helps to focus the energy towards the plug as well as keep some of the debris that comes down inside of the door off of the speaker itself. Then you have the most important part, which is the front piece that is designed to sit like this on the front of the bracket and help to push all that air into the door panel. These are made to be cut to length. They come this length. Depending on how you're going to install it, where it's going to go, you can trim it down to meet up with the door panel. The same is true for the back piece as well as the middle piece. Don't feel like you have to use the whole thing. In fact, if you do use the whole thing, sometimes what can happen is that this will actually roll over and can damage the speaker and do more harm than good. Make sure you check for that when installing them into place. The first 2 layers of sound treatment are done. Inside the door is done. Outside of the door is done. The vapor barrier is back on. Do yourself a favor, don't remove the vapor barrier. If you do, make sure you put something back in place of it. Never leave this entirely open. You can go over it, do whatever you want, but make sure this stays in some form or capacity. This keeps the water inside of here. And if you don't think water gets into your door panel, you're crazy, because it does. This is made to keep that water trapped inside of the door. Come over to this side, and as you can tell, this is way nicer, way thicker. The next step, as Fernando's prepping now, is the speaker bracket. He's covering this with sound treatment, and then when he's done with that, he'll add the foam, which when he's ready, you'll give us a holler, right?
That's correct. For the actually door panel, we add the Rollkill Ultimate that has the foam all the way around the speaker, little pieces in there, little pieces in there. And of course, we add the Morel logo.
Speaker bracket is all wrapped up. The Morel is mounted in place. The fast ring is located on the back. When we were talking about the fast ring earlier, we were talking about how it's going to keep debris off the speaker and also focus that energy into the door panel, which now has the back part of the plug in it to go along with all the sound treatment that is behind it. As you can see, the foam is also on the back like we discussed, and then on the front you can see where the foam here is up underneath the speaker. Even though there is sound treatment on here, I still recommend putting the foam there. Sound treatment isn't always level and you don't want any leaks. The exterior fast ring is installed along with all the other pieces. Time to put the door panel back on.